嗨，大家好，欢迎来到突发奇想。这其实是我第一次试着在脸书上面直播，所以呢，我知道 YouTube 应该是会蛮顺利的进行，但是我其实不太确定脸书是否也会同步。所以如果你在脸书上，然后有看到我的话，可以在 chat 里面跟我打一声招呼吗？那如果你在 YouTube 可以听得到我的声音，也可以看得到这个画面，可不可以也顺便让我知道一下呢？我现在是用一个集中的一个软体，所以应该你们跟我讲话，我可以在同一个地方能够看到。那今天我们的主题是 cringe。如果你是英文私塾的学生，你应该已经有看过了这个单字。我们之前是在其中一个直播。Hi Jocelyn, great. Thank you so much for telling me. 我们之前在其中的一个 Anything 突发奇想直播，这是我们每一个礼拜在英文私塾都会有的直播。那它基本上它的规划是前15分钟是中文的，后15分钟是英文的。今天也许会花比较多一点点时间，因为我会沿路就是跟大家解释突发奇想是如何运作的。那你们应该知道我有英文私塾 English Ever After，这是其中的一小部分，这是每一个层级的会员都可以参加的。那今天这是我们首度有一个公开的课程。Hi everyone，谢谢你们让我知道你们听得到，我看到有脸书的，也有 YouTube 上面的学员们。So good to see you here。那我们之前在英文私塾里，我们有其中一集叫做 Why the Hate。那一集其实我们讲到的就是脸书把自己的名称改成了 Meta，然后呢，在这之后，Mark Zuckerberg 他们的 CEO 就告诉大家，他们的员工从此以后就要叫做 Meta Mates。那这使大家感觉非常的不舒服。在这个直播里面，我有详细的解释为什么大家觉得这十分的尴尬。那当时我们就有讲到这一个单字，就是 cringe。如果你有看过这个单字的话，你应该知道 cringe 的意思是有退缩，它是实体上面会退缩。那你通常呢，比较原始的用法就是如果你看到害怕的事情，然后你有一个直觉上面想要往后退，这个就是 cringe。但是现在你比较常会看到的用法，其实是如果遇到了某一些让你很尴尬的事情，让你很想要钻地洞，不是可能是你自己，可是通常是别人。别人做出很丢脸的事情，让你觉得非常的尴尬，那你就可以用 cringe 这个字。它不但是动词，其实现在也很常被当作是形容词。所以你也许会听到有人说，我把这个字放在上面。有人呢会说，譬如说像 Metamate，It's so cringe，或者是 It's so cringy。那你会看到有两个选择。一开始呢，因为 cringe 是动词，所以大家会在后面加上 y。那关于它的发音，就是 cringy 后面是一个 e 的音，长 e 的音。但是在拼音上面就有一些争议，有一些人会觉得应该把 e 拿掉，有一些人则会保留。所以在这里呢，你会发现这个 e 旁边有那个 parentheses， 有这个括号，意思就是可有可无。那演变到现在，你可能会听到很多 YouTuber 就直接说 "It's so cringe"，直接把它当做形容词来使用。那这就是我们今天要进一步讨论的。这个底是这些英文私塾上一期的学员已经有的，如果你有看过这个直播或者是他的录影。不过无论你是已经有这一个知识，或者是这是对你来讲是新的，我们今天都会从这一个基础上面再建立更多的一些范例。那我对于单字学习的想法是这样的，我觉得 vocabulary building 就是我们在建立我们的单字，我们在扩大我们的词汇。 它是需要用非常多的经验累积，所以它不能只是譬如说你背一个定义，或者是现在很流行搭配词，你去背那一个很常见的一个组合，这些东西都是好的，包含例句也是。但是我们真正要做的应该是多触及，然后多去使用它，它才能够让你去真正的记忆这些单字。那今天呢，就是再提供大家一些范例。我们基本上就是要实践活化英文，这个多接触、多用，Bring your English to life。我真的非常希望它不只是一个口号，它是我们实际上面在做的事情。那我们就以身作则。OK，所以大家我想要问一下，你们有没有看这个 FIFA 的足球赛呢？有没有看到最后面有这一个人物的出现？有人知道他是谁吗？如果你们知道的话，可以把他的名字写在 chat 里面吗？我非常的好奇。这个大家应该知道，FIFA 的冠军就是阿根廷，然后他们在非常开心，大家一起庆祝的时候，就忽然冒出了这个曾经红极一时的网红，现在又忽然呢被大家广泛的讨论。如果你知道的话，请把他的名字写下来；如果你不知道的话，也麻烦你告诉我，所以我可以让这个答案揭晓。那这一刻呢，对于大家来讲就是所谓的非常的 cringy，因为他是一个与这个队毫无关联的一个人。那他最有名的事情，他最有名的一个动作就是这样子撒盐，然后他会把盐抓在手里面，这样撒下去，会经过他的手肘。这个人呢是 Salt Bay。我把他的名字写在这边。他真的是让大家非常的震惊，因为他就在大家庆功的时候忽然冒出来，然后他也不是阿根廷人，他就因为这个动作，你也可以看到图里面，他还对着阿根廷的这个奖杯做出撒盐的动作，是十分的不尊敬。所以呢，大家看到了以后就会说 "This is very cringy, this is very cringe"。那我今天还要再复习一下一个说法，这个是比较正式的用法。你会看到很多的在 YouTube 上面讲话的人，他会说 cringy 或者是 cringe，口语化这是 OK 的。但是如果你想要更正式一点，虽然 cringe 本身没有非常的正式，可是譬如说你想要写一篇文章，像我在教学的时候，我可能会说 cringe making，或者是 cringe worthy，很值得我们去做出这个感觉很尴尬的动作。那最后一个呢，更加正式的就是 cringe inducing。To induce，它的意思就是促进、促使。所以你把这个 induce 后面加上 ing，inducing 跟 cringe 放在一起，就是它会促使这个尴尬反应的一个场景。那你去看一下他的这些照片，应该也会感受到这是十分的不舒服。所以这可以让大家就是多复习一下 cringe 这一个字。那接下来呢，我想要再跟大家分享一张照片。这个人有人知道是谁吗？他的名字是 Rishi Sunak。有人知道他是什么样子的一个他有什么样子的一个职位吗？If you do know, please let me know in the chat. And if you don't know, that's okay. I would like to know as well. 所以不管你知不知道，我都想要看一下，你们对于这个人的理解。就是当你们看到这个照片，当你们看到这个头条，听到了这个名字的时候，你们知道他是谁吗？那我们就可以顺便在学英文的时候也累积一下，就是关于世界的一些知识。这个 Rishi Sunak 是现在的英国首相，so the British PM 就是 Prime Minister。那他最近一个呢，让人觉得 Thank you, Booby. Yes, exactly. 他就是 the British PM。 他最近有一个非常 cringe-worthy 的一个 moment，就是他去这个 homeless shelter，也就是这些流浪汉的收容所，然后他试着要给他们食物，他要跟他们聊天，所以呢，就是要跟人民拉近距离的一个动作。他在帮这一位流浪汉准备食物的时候，他就问他，他在攀谈这个 small talk，他就说："Do you work in business？" 那这很多人都会觉得非常的 cringe worthy，因为如果他今天非常的清楚他的所在地，也就是一个 homeless shelter，这些人是无家可归的人，所以应该没有在从事就是所谓的 business，没有在从事生意，但是他却问对方 "Do you work in business？" 那对方的答案呢是 "No, I'm homeless"，没有，我无家可归，我其实是一个无家可归的人，但是我对于 business 其实是非常有兴趣的，他是这么说的。那接下来呢，他还没有停下来，这个 PM 呢，他就说："Yeah, what kind of business？" 他还要追问下去，你喜欢的、你有兴趣的这种行业是什么呢？在某一个层面来讲，有一些人的像这一篇文章，我在上面所显示的这张图，他们对于这个对话的看法是，其实这个 PM 只是想要多了解一下人民怎么想的，这只是一个对谈。那他因为对于对方没有成见，所以他才会这样问。但也有很多人觉得是因为他对民情没有了解，所以他才会这样问。他自己本身是一个非常非常有钱的人。那后来呢，这个流浪汉他就说："Yeah, I wouldn't mind。"因为他就告诉他有很多很有趣的一些机会。那他就说他不会介意去尝试，但是呢，他现在他最主要的目的就是他想要先能够活过这个圣诞节。所以你应该听完了这个对话以后，觉得非常的尴尬，非常的不舒服。This is very, very cringe worthy. Okay? So I hope that you understand what's going on here. 那当然呢，我觉得我在后面会加上一个 debatable，就是这是有辩论的空间，不像刚才就是 Salt Bae 直接冲到足球场上，直接去对着那个奖杯撒盐。这个呢，比较多人会有反对的声音，觉得其实可以用另外一个观点来看。那我就把它到底是不是 cringe worthy or not 留给大家来决定。你们觉得 is this cringe? Is this cringy or no? If you think so, please let me know. 如果你觉得它是 cringy 的话，你可以打一下 cringe 这个字吗？如果顺便复习一下这个单字，你打下来。虽然我最近有说不要抄写，但是呢，你学到一个字以后，你开始用，譬如说你用在一个句子 "This is so cringe"，或者是 "I think it's cringe"，你把它写下来，它不是一个抄写，它是一个实用。那我觉得它会让你可以感觉这个字比较是属于你自己的。下一次碰到的时候，也许你就会想到 cringe 这个字。那最后一个呢，我要分享的是我自己的最近听到的一个对话。我其实是用中文听的，那我待会用英文的部分，我还是会用英文来讲解一次。So it's a conversation that I overheard，就是我听到别人的对话。这个对话其实是我在推拿的过程当中听到旁边隔着这个curtain，我的帘子对面的那个人，他们在进行的一个对话。那一个推拿师呢，他就忽然问他的客人，他说："你太太你太太的声音为什么会听起来这么沙哑？"然后那个先生呢，也非常的奇妙，他就开始讲述，他说："哦，因为他有受伤过。"然后那个 masseuse 呢，那个推拿师他就一直逼问，就是一直问为什么受伤，哪里受伤，为什么会有这么沙哑的声音，怎么会这样？那当下我就边按摩边舒压，可是又同时非常的 cringe，所以呢，没有达到完全的放松，很不幸的。这个先生他就解释，不过我有增加一些知识就是了。这个先生说他的太太多年前，出了车祸，然后这个时候呢，那个推拿师就马上很惊讶的说 出车祸会伤到声音吗？先生就说不是的，是因为他当时昏迷了，所以呢需要插管。那插管的过程当中，就因此而伤到了声带。就在这个时候，我觉得非常的 cringy，我觉得it's not very comfortable。但他们两个显然都非常的舒适的继续在讨论这件事情。那后来就陷入了一阵沉默。才过了大概15分钟以后，这个 masseuse 就说："你当时是跟他交往的吗？"我觉得这个问题真的是对我来讲非常的 cringe inducing，因为我不知道它的含义是什么。这个含义是他一直表达他对于那个太太的声音感到非常奇怪。所以呢，他似乎觉得就是你为什么因为他的声音这样还跟他交往，是因为你跟他交往以后他才变这样呢？还是你认识他的时候他的声音就这样？这是我自己去推想的，但我因为推想到这些，所以我觉得非常的 cringy，我觉得非常的尴尬。那就在这里呢，就是跟大家分享，这又是另外一个非常 cringy 的状况。它的相关单字刚才所说的这个插管，我把这两个字放在同一行看一下。It's very cringe, right? It was very, very uncomfortable for me. Intubated，你会看到那个 tube 就是管子。这个管子呢本身是 tube，有人可以帮我把它拼出来吗？然后我看到大家说，对，我觉得它非常的失礼。然后没有错，我绝对会去推拿，因为我的身体非常的僵硬，非常的酸痛，所以呢，这是一定要的。So yeah, for Bui Bui，刚才讲到那个 PM，当然那个 cringe 是对于 PM，而不是对于那个 homeless person。Thank you, Jocelyn. OK, Jocelyn 说 tube, T-U-B-E，这个就是管子。所以 intubate，你可以看到前面有一个 in 里面，然后后面呢 ate，它是一个动词的结尾。intubate, intubated 就是被动，然后也是形容词。intubation 是它的名词。所以这整个状况是 intubation。那我们接下来呢，就是要重新再看这3个范例，然后全部再用英文讲一次。那如果你的英文是比较初阶的，我觉得你目前看到这里，你也可以学很多的英文。然后呢，你如果目标就是学这个单字，如果可以再学一些刚才我所提到的相关单字跟知识，那也很好。那如果你比较进阶，或者是想要尝试多听英文的话，此时你就可以接下去继续听我们后半段的 cringe. So let's take it to the beginning. And I think that this idea of cringiness is very, very cringe inducing. So I have to take off my scarf because I think I'm sweating a bit much. Okay, all right. Let's take it from the beginning. And I hope that I won't be sweating bullets. So let me find the image from before. To review, let's have a look. So as you can see, the image that I have chosen for today is this expression. Sarah Paulson, this actress, is very, very famous for doing this facial expression that is symbolic and maybe not symbolic, but representative of someone who is cringy. So if you encounter something that is cringe, this is likely how you would look or how you might feel internally, how you might feel inside. And the reason why I want to share so many examples with you is that I think vocabulary has to be more than just talking about the meaning. It has to be more than just memorizing definitions or even combinations. Nowadays, I have noticed that collocations, they seem to be all the rage. They're very popular. They're basically just combinations. Phrases, collocations, they're all the same. They're just combinations that are common. And they are important, but you cannot think that just by memorizing many of them, you're going to build a wealth of vocabulary. If you memorize them today and you don't use them and you don't continue to expose yourself to the language, you are bound to forget. So it doesn't matter that we're learning all these combinations. And in fact, the combinations, they will come to you if you continue to use the words and continue to find them in your life. So part of what I want to do with anything in English Ever After is to bring you more exposure to all these different words that we're learning together. And at the same time, I want to show you how you can then unlock so many things in your life with the English language. You can understand world news. You can talk about gossip. You can talk about something that's happened in your life, as I did just now. We did all of that just now. So yes, you need to also look at sentences, but you can't stop there. Ideally, you look at the sentences as they are in your life, and our goal together is to bring English to life. We need to see more, we need to use the language more. So the last time when I mentioned this word, I've actually already taught this word to my students in English Ever After, and we covered it when we talked about MetaMate. So Meta is the new name for Facebook. And in addition to that, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO, announced to everyone that from now on, the people who work at Meta, they're going to be known as MetaMate. So immediately the internet just kind of cringed collectively. Everyone felt it was very cringy. And we're not going to get into the detail. We're not going to get into the detail of why that is the case today, because I covered that extensively in this live stream. So if you have the chance to join us, once you join us, you can go back. This is number 8 in the previous series, and you can revisit the one that's called Why the Hate to understand why everyone hates that name so much. All you need to know for now is that it's very cringy, and even if you don't join us, you can type in MetaMate cringe in any search engine, and you're bound to find some information on that. So I don't have exclusive rights to the information at all. I don't believe in that either. You can perfectly listen to this and then find the answers for yourself. What's very convenient if you join English Ever After is that I do collect all of this information for you. I present it to you. And if you have been following me lately, you can see that I take the pursuit of truth very, very seriously. And I think that it's very important that we fact check, that before we make these big claims, we do the research properly. So if you join and you ask me questions, I am going to make sure that when I answer you, I'm not just using my own experience, which is important still, but more than that, that I'm backing it up with research, especially if it's a complicated question. So in addition to what I taught you before, which is that cringe is more of the physical action of pulling back, usually when we are afraid. But in more modern times, the way that we use this word is to talk about how we feel, this embarrassment, this awkwardness that we feel when we are in the face of something that's just really, really uncomfortable. And someone said, "How have I been?" I have been very well. Thank you so much. Just cringing a lot based on what I have been sharing today. And thank you for joining us. So some of the things that you can say include, cringe, cringy. These are adjectives as well. But if you want to be a bit more formal when you're describing something that makes you uncomfortable, give these a try. You can say that something is very cringe making or cringe worthy. And you can also try something like cringe inducing. Induce in particular means to bring about, to make something happen, to give rise to something. And so you can learn both this word induce as a verb and also inducing as an adjective. We know that many of the verbs in English you can attach ing or ed to, and this ending can make those words adjectives. This is what's happening when you have cringe inducing. As a whole, the whole thing is working as an adjective. So I mentioned to you that one of the most cringe-worthy things that's happened lately happened at FIFA when Argentina won the cup. This was a big moment for everyone involved, and then suddenly this random influencer from a long time ago who was a meme, Salt Bae, who's very famous for sprinkling salt onto food with this really unique gesture of his. He just came onto the scene, and it seems like he's really good friends with one of the commissioners, one of the leaders, organizers of FIFA, of the event. So he was able to sneak in. And once he has snuck in, he began to pull back some of the players to force them to take photos with him. And as you can see, Messi was not very happy about that. None of the players were very happy about this, as you can imagine. There was even one picture where he took the medal that was around one of the players' neck. He took it and then bit it. And then you can also see that he's doing his signature movement, sprinkling of the salt onto the trophy. That's so special, so sacred to the players. And of course, everyone was outraged by this. It's a very, very cringe-inducing moment. The other time when we've seen a very, very cringe-worthy moment lately is with Rishi Sunak. And with him, this is very debatable because some people do not think that the conversation is cringe-worthy, but I personally think that is very cringy. He went to a homeless shelter, and while at the homeless shelter, serving food to the homeless man, so he knew where he was, and he knew he's supposed to know that the person he's serving is homeless. But still, he asked the person, "Do you work in business?" And then the guy, his name is Dean, had to say, "No." This is the exact quote. He said, "No, I'm homeless. I'm actually a homeless person, but I'm interested in business." You know what? In fact, let me put this in the chat so that you can see it too. Okay, it's a little bit long, so give me a second. So what I've done is put the conversation in the chat. I wonder if you can see that. If you can see it, can you let me know? It's kind of pushed together into one paragraph, but I hope that mentally you can see it as with a line in between. So there's Nick, the PM, Prime Minister of the UK, saying, "Do you work in business?" And then Dean, the homeless man, said, "No, I'm homeless. I'm actually a homeless person." So he had to repeat this to remind the Prime Minister. But I'm interested in business. So great, Stefan. Thank you so much for telling me that. And yet, the PM did not take the cue, so he did not take the hint and stop this conversation. He just kept going, and he asked what kind of business, and then he continued to talk about business for a while. So to many, this is very, very insensitive because ultimately, Dean had to say, "Yeah, I don't know. I would just like to get through Christmas first." So his focus is not on business, as you can imagine. He's worried about where he's going to stay. He doesn't have a home. It's Christmas. You can imagine it must be very, very cold, and he has to come to the shelter to get food. So the fact that this PM was having this drawn out, long conversation about business with him, this is very highly criticized. Many people, including yourself, found this conversation to be very cringe inducing. We're not cringing at the homeless person at all. We're not cringing at Dean. And I was going to say Mint. We're not cringing at Dean, the homeless person. We're cringing at Rishi Sunak, the PM of Great Britain. So I think that from this example, you can learn many things, right? You can remind yourself of the world leaders' names. You can see that there are people who think that actually, no, for us to think that this is very cringy, it's because we're prejudiced. We think that a homeless person is not fit to have a conversation like that. But that's not actually what's happening, at least to my eyes. So I encourage you to bring this example to those around you and have a conversation about it. You can agree, you can disagree, you can read what other people are saying about this. All of this is good for you because it makes you think. and it helps you bring English to life, especially if you're looking at the information in English. So the final thing I want to say is a conversation that I overheard. And just now, someone said that they were surprised that I was listening to a conversation. I have to say that I had no choice because when I was receiving the massage and when I heard the conversation, the person was just right beside me. There was nothing else to block me from listening. And unfortunately, we had to hear it. Plus, it was a very awkward conversation, and these kinds of conversations have a way of getting our attention. So basically, what I heard was this. I went to this traditional massage place, and the masseuse said to his client, he said, "You know, your wife's voice is so hoarse. Can someone spell hoarse for me?" And I see that Bui Bui is asking, I'd like to know what the staff of the PM did afterwards. Um, I'm not entirely sure about that, and I think that they had to definitely do a lot of damage control. And I imagine that the article that I shared with you just now from The Guardian is probably one of their attempts. We do not always get the privilege to see what's behind the scenes. We can see that people, if you watch the video online, you can see that the staff, I don't think that's his staff, I think that's a staff at the homeless shelter, the staff member was feeling a bit uncomfortable. So I encourage you to look into that. So basically, hoarse. Hoarse means the voice is kind of like mine, but I imagine it's a lot worse because the masseuse was asking his client about it. So it's not a very smooth voice. It's the kind of voice that's very raspy. And especially when we're about to lose our voice, it can become very hoarse. If you speak for a very long time, it can become hoarse. So thank you, Bui Bui, for spelling that for us. It's Hoarse. So he said to the client, "Why is her voice like that?" That, for one, is very, very impolite and very, very cringy for me. But thanks to him, because he had this curiosity, I subsequently had the chance to listen to the explanation. So the husband explained that because the wife got into some kind of an accident before, she damaged her vocal cords. She damaged her voice, essentially. And in the car accident that she suffered, she had to be intubated. So essentially, a tube had to be inserted into her mouth because at that time she was not conscious. She had lost her consciousness, and they had to find a way to keep her alive. Therefore, they used the procedure of intubation to keep her alive. So all of this is very personal information. All of this is very private. And yet there we were. They were having this conversation. I was listening to it. I had no choice. I found it very, very cringe inducing. And I believe that a massage is an experience that's supposed to relax you. But I have to say that it was not relaxing at all. Thank you for writing down vocal cords. Usually we have it in the plural form, so we need to add the S at the end. So vocal is related to voice, V-O-C-A-L, and cords, C-O-R-D-S. This is the second word. Your vocal cords is what we call 声带 in Chinese. So I didn't know that the process of intubation could actually damage the vocal cords. That was new to me. And even though this was a very cringy conversation, I did end up learning something from it. And I did end up collecting this example to share with you so that you can remember the word cringe. And now let's just do a very, very quick review. We covered 3 examples that made us cringe today. So I'm using cringe as a verb right now. And the first example was Salt Bae, who rushed onto the soccer field after Argentina won the FIFA World Cup and kind of took the moment for himself. The second example was the British PM, who asked the homeless man what he was doing in business and whether he was going to try to do something in business. And the homeless man had to remind him that he was homeless. The final one was the conversation that I overheard, the highly private conversation that I overheard at the massage place. And most cringy of all, I think, was when the masseuse asked the husband at that place whether he was dating the woman before, during, or after the accident. And it seems that the implication, so he essentially said, were you in a relationship when it happened? It seemed to me that he wanted to know if she was still desirable, even with his voice, to the guy. And that was very, very uncomfortable for me to listen to. However, the two of them were able to have that conversation. They didn't find it cringe-worthy, so who am I to judge? I would just say that personally, I would not have that conversation in that way. But still, we can learn from everything. And that is the point of anything. The point of all of this is that we can learn from everything that we encounter in our life. 那我现在又要回到中文，就是我想要解释一下这个 anything 直播，它主要是想要让大家能够看到，我们其实是可以从生活里面的任意经验来学习。所以学习没有所谓，我觉得没有所谓最好的教材，只有我们怎么样与这个教材互动。那语言就是我一直强调是一个非常非常活生生的一件事情。不管是我们的能力还是语言本身，这些都是要能够非常有弹性，我们需要能够活用，能够活化它。那我对于 English Ever After 英文私塾的一个目标，就是要提供大家非常扎实、非常踏实，然后同时呢，还能够保有创意，还有根据的一个聪明学习的方式。它不是一个特定的方式，它是从很多面向去接触英文，去活化英文。那今天这一个就是其中的一个示范。在我的英文私塾里面 anything 直播这个突发奇想，它是提供给所有学员的。那我现在呢，要给大家看这个网页。Give me a second. Okay, so I know that many of you are actually already my students. 但是如果呢，你还不是英文私塾的学员，你可以到这一个页面去看，这是我们的私塾的细节。它有好几个层级，有 Silver, Gold and Platinum。那挑战性就是越来越高，所以如果你对于英文还不太有把握，你可以从第一个开始。那第一个呢，就是有今天的这个 Anything。这个 silver level 最初阶的，就是有今天的 anything， 还有除此之外，每一周你都可以到我们的论坛去问我问题，也可以看其他人在问我什么问题，我要怎么样回答他们。从这个过程里面，我们可以互相学习，我也可以针对你的学习本身，给予你一些有用的建议。And if you're interested in how I teach, how I think about everything, you can check out what I do on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. 我在这些不同的社群媒体上面，其实已经有很多的资源可以让大家参考。那如果你有任何问题，欢迎你在之后可以留言给我。那如果今天你还没有参加，但是有兴趣要参加我们的话，我接下来呢会有一个48小时的一个折扣的活动。那就先请你们可以先就是把 email 输入到下面这个页面去订阅我的 email 的这个 newsletter。订阅了以后呢，我之后会寄出一个折价券，所以让你们可以在48小时里面，可以使用它，那就可以得到一个特别的75折的优惠。Okay, so with that, I want to wish everyone good night. I hope you learned something today, and I hope that even though all of this was very cringy, you did learn something, and that afterwards you can have some proper relaxation. Okay, so I see that Bui is saying masseuse, monsieur. Do I think that this is a neutral word for the job? Well, I usually say masseuse, and that is something that we can explore some other time for sure. But thank you for the question. And okay, I see that people are leaving their email. I would recommend that you don't leave your email here because everyone can see your email. 佳琪，我觉得你可能要把你的 email 删掉，因为大家都可以看到你的 email。 但是你可以到我刚才给的那一个连结，我待会也可以传讯息给你，然后你就可以把你的 email 留在那边。Okay, all right. So have a very good night, and I will see you soon. Bye.